Let me see this.
Disney's boy trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel Lucasfilm struggles. Leadership at Walt Disney Studios has been pressing Hollywood creatives in recent months, multiple sources tell Variety, for movies that will bring young men back to the brand in a meaningful way.
All right, you get the fat bitches out. You get hot chicks in there 100%. You make it about a man that's trying to save his family. Just think about what would a young guy want to watch? It's so obvious.
Oh, really? I mean, you've spent years telling us that men are irrelevant.
Yep, there it is, guys. And that's what happens. Is that you make this content, and you make this content for an audience that doesn't exist. Like, they think they can just shift Star Wars to being a girl franchise. You gotta be retarded to believe that.
Why do you care about attracting men to your brand all of a sudden? You might utterly despise men and everything they represent, but when it comes to that increasingly uncomfortable meeting with the accountants every few months, well, it turns out that you kind of need them. Especially young men, who seem to be quite a powerful demographic these days.
Well, they are. They're a massive demographic, and they also spend a lot of money, too. The reason why is that they don't make shows for men anymore. That's the problem. They make them for general audiences.
Let's see what else this stunning and brave article has to say. Numerous studies show that Gen Z men in particular are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who were hampered in their formative years by COVID-19 lockdowns. Oh, come on! Okay.
I think that's probably true, honestly. I think it is. Like, imagine graduating high school in 2019, or 2020. Like, you're set up in a situation now where you're totally isolated from society. You spend those years where, like, you're supposed to be hanging out with your friends, like, after high school, like, in college or whatever, going to parties, and you spend all that, like, and you're quarantined, literally. Yeah, that's going to be a huge problem. That's going to negatively affect people a lot.
Let's be clear about one thing. They were hampered by an entertainment media complex that spent most of the past decade systematically trying to obliterate them from modern culture.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he's completely right.
Hated, insulted, gaslit into believing their every natural instinct was wrong and evil, and simultaneously labelled as useless and irrelevant, but also somehow the cause of every negative thing that ever happens in the world, depending on which explanation is most expedient.
It's so obvious, right? I mean, like, anytime that I see something like that, I immediately think it's gonna be garbage, bro. Like, I do.
And every single time they've dared to defend themselves or push back in this completely one-sided war, they've been dismissed as sexist, misogynistic idiots and bullied or attacked into silence. Is it really that much of a surprise that after all of this, after realizing the deck is
This is the reason why anime and manga is so popular now. Is because, and this is the reason why games from China are growing so much, and like non-Western culture games are so popular.
Hopelessly stacked against them that not only can they never be allowed to win, but they'll be actively punished for even trying in the first place. They finally decided, I'm just not playing anymore. And they hit back with the most powerful weapon, their wallets. If companies like Disney decide to use their platform to beat young men over the head with the message that everything male is inherently
I think Solo Leveling is a great example. Like, Solo Leveling, this is the male power fantasy personified. It is. I think right now it's the most popular anime on Crunchyroll.
Then I guess young men just won't watch their stuff anymore. This article and others like it will explore every possible explanation except the simplest and most obvious one. And I think we know why. It actually kind of reminds me of all those articles cropping up on feminist websites these days decrying the lack of male attention after those very same sites spent years complaining about men being too forward, too assertive, too interested, too creepy, and gosh darn it, why can't they just leave us all alone?
Leave me alone.
Gee, I wonder why they're not interested in dating anymore.
It's because women want both. They want guys that they're attracted to pursue them relentlessly. And they also want guys that they're not attracted to never talk to them. Like, this is the issue that a lot of people have. And, like, you can see this dichotomy that's represented in a lot of these romance novels, where it's, like, usually an aggressive, assertive man, but this man just happens to be a billionaire vampire who happens to also be very attractive. Like, that's the difference.
The irony is that Disney already had access to some of the biggest and most successful male-focused brands in history. And yes, both Star Wars and Marvel were decidedly male brands.
100% for guys. Like, Star Wars is 100%. It's not even a question.
That doesn't mean the ladies couldn't enjoy them too, and many did in fact, but if I had to choose a gender most likely to gravitate towards a franchise about space battles, adventure, ships and technology, heroism and epic struggles, yeah, it's gonna be men. And that right there is perfectly okay. Men are allowed to have stuff that they like, and a lot of the time, that stuff is going to be quite different from what women like. The problem is that only one side is ever expected to compromise and make concessions to accommodate the other. And
That's exactly the problem. He's totally right about this. It's that, like, anything that men like, men are expected to compromise and default to what women like. But I think that when men express that they like something, women usually attack them.
There seems to be this weird cultural taboo around the idea of male-focused anything now, like catering specifically to men as a demographic is some moral crime that has to be addressed.
That's exactly right. He's totally right about this. The reason why I think guys play into this is actually extremely simple. I think they do it as a mating technique. This is guys that act like simps and like losers in order to make girls like them.
In the case of those male-oriented franchise that used to be a license to print money because they used to understand their customers, the problem wasn't just the clunky attempts to court a female audience with a sudden influx of pandering, poorly written girl bosses who could magically do anything and were always right about everything.
That's the issue too. The characters are just bad on top of everything because the writers self-insert themselves.
A bigger problem was the active sabotage, marginalization, destruction, and outright pussification of the male characters to make...
Here it is. Yes. And so that's the issue, is that it's not a problem for you to make a movie or a story that is women-centric. But if you do that, and you also do it at the expense of male representation, and you make men look like they are incompetent.
Instead of becoming more accessible to women, these franchises instead became increasingly hostile towards men.
That's the perfect way to say it. Yeah, it's not about making it appeal to women, it's about making it not appeal to men. And so they actively desexualize things, they actively work against and they subvert the traditional male fantasy. And guess what? A lot of guys don't appreciate that.
Instead, they found themselves getting lectured, berated, and disrespected by a studio that seemed to actively hate them. And that's the funny thing about young men, you see. They can, and often do, put up with a lot of shit in their daily lives, but the one thing they won't put up with...
This is the issue, right? It's like, if you're kind of like an average, kind of a dumb guy, right? You're not really a super smart guy. You're like an 85, 88, 89, 93 IQ guy. Like, you could have gotten a job back in the day working and doing something, and you'd be all right. But now a lot of those jobs are automated, and so you're getting patronized. And at the same time, like, women have a lot of these opportunities, especially when they're young, to make a lot of money, right? Things like OnlyFans. And again, it's not like every girl's doing OnlyFans. Of course not. But I think that it's the perception, the society expectation. Like, women nowadays, whenever they're entering the workforce, young women make a considerable amount more money than young men do in the workplace. Why is that? It is the direct effect of deliberate DEI initiatives to disenfranchise men and to empower women at their expense. That's the reason. It was never about equality. Equality was just one step on the stairway to supremacy. And that's what you have now. I know that some people are going to get mad that I say it as raw as I do. But somebody's got to. Somebody has to, and that's where it's at.
When you decide to treat half your audience as the enemy, that's exactly what you turn them into.
Yep.
You really do get what you deserve. And in this case, Disney deserves to lose half their audience because they gave them absolutely no reason to stick around.
They gave them a reason to leave.
It seems like even Disney are beginning to acknowledge how badly they've done wrong. Yeah.
I don't think that the modern studios will be able to recover from this, by the way. I think the only way that we can hope to get anything better in the next 10 or 15 years at least is for new studios to emerge, because what I think happens is that these studios get infected with these groups of people and they totally take over the studio. They're like a cancer. And once you have enough of them, the studio is completely infected and it will never get better. I think a great example of this is Blizzard. Blizzard is never going to make a based badass video game again.
If I could offer a few pieces of advice, speaking as someone of the male persuasion here, I'd say they have to come to terms with a few realities about their situation. The first reality is that not everything you make can appeal to everyone, and nor should you try. Movies like Barbie and Top Gun Maverick are proof that when you target a specific audience and give them exactly what they want without trying to dilute it down in the hopes of appealing to an even bigger market, you can and will make an absolute fortune. The second reality is that any project revolving around adventure, science fiction, action, or technology, like say, I don't know, Star Wars and Marvel, is probably gonna skew male. I don't know what to tell you, man, but men and women tend to be interested in different things, and to resurrect and get profitable again, then you're gonna have to accept that your primary demographic is men, and cater the content accordingly.
Of course.
The third reality is that you need to bring back masculine heroes if you want to get a male audience back. Men who are smart, capable, assertive, confident, complex, and maybe even a bit dangerous. The fourth and final reality is that everyone, men and women both, are sick of girl bosses. They've ruined practically everything they've been crowbarred into, and they have...
And I think behind every girl boss is a fat feminist writer with a nose earring.
That doesn't mean for 1 second that you can't have intelligent, complex, capable, and well-written female characters that...
To me, whenever I see a character like that, like if I can't tell the gender of characters in a game, I immediately assume the game will be garbage.
It feels like common sense is in short supply in Hollywood these days. But I think the big takeaway from all of this is that men as a demographic are not all that difficult to please. Treat them with a bit of respect.
That's the crazy thing, is that like, it's so easy to get guys to watch something. It's so easy to get guys to be interested in something.
Give them the things that they enjoy, and you'll be surprised how quickly they come around.
Garbage.
On the other hand, ignore and attack them, and well, I think we've seen where that road leads.
Yep.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
I love this video. He's completely right. Yes, the entire film industry, and especially the corporate film industry, has spent the last decade demonizing, delegitimizing, and caricaturing men as being retarded, and now men don't want to be told that they're retarded. What a surprise!